guys, on this video I'm going to show you how I pose this dude. Wait, let me go small. It is amazing. I'm going to show you how I'm going to pose this dude to this pose and the step by step of what is happening inside of my mind when I'm posing for animation. You'll be like, Henry, but you already posed that thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to do some improvements. And also because I fixed some things on the rig, I just want to try again and see what things can I do here on this pose to improve. And I'm already seeing some things around, and what I'm going to show you right now is the behind the scenes of what the reason of this pose, because every time before approaching or designing any pose, we have to be aware of the intention or the story behind this pose. And everything that we do the way that we design this pose will be in order to build the story, to it will be to favor the story. So that's the main idea. And for this scene, the thing that happens is that this chihuahua, this enlightened, super powerful chihuahua, attacked this giant air fryer. The air fryer falls, and this chihuahua just starts spinning on top of the air fryer. The air fryer extends his arm, and he starts turning around and sliding on his pee on top of this air fryer. Ooh, slides, surf on top of the arm, and then jumps towards the eye of this robot. So, what's the story behind this scene is that this dude is super like confident in which he's going to just kill this air fryer robot, and he's like a badass like this, just sliding. So the pose is there, and now I'm going to translate all the information that I put here on the rig. So that's the story, and now let's talk about the visual language that we are using here, which is going to be shapes and lines. So I'm going to put here this animatic, and we're going to start. So first thing here that I could fix is the perspective. So the perspective here is something like this, where the eye level will be somewhere around here. So we're seeing this dude inside of this box, and this will make our character more dynamic than just drawing this dude super flat. See, this is super flat. So this is the first thing. Where the camera will be around here, so we are seeing a bit on top of this character. So that will be the first thing that I will fix on this pose that I previously did. So I'll draw the same box here, and I'm going to draw my character following these guidelines, following these 3 lines. Also, I'm going to lower the opacity of these. Whoop. And now I'm going to be drawing on top. So first of all, the shape of the head is something like this. The shape of the head of this character is something like this, and this is something that I'm always thinking about, the construction of these characters. So the shape of the head is something like this, and from this part the mouth comes out of it, and we have this center line in which the nose will go here around. Also, we have this eye that will, well, I like to I flatten this shape. So let's imagine that we have this side plane here, but still this eye is all the way here, and this eye here. Amazing. So now I'm translating those volumes here. I really like how this head is like extended towards that side. It's like if the velocity, like the speeding is going down, is dragging the head like a little bit down, like back. So I like that. So we can work with that shape. Now another thing that I have to fix here, see, this nose is just here, they're like inside of this shape of the head, but this time I'm working this way. The nose here will follow this same perspective line, see? So I'm drawing with that perspective lines on my mind. Here the mouth will be something like this, and this dude, the mouth of this dude is an S. So we're going to talk also about the shape designs that I'm using for this short film. Right now I want to focus on this main part that is the perspective, and then here it comes this eye, something like this, and we have the other eye somewhere over here. Also, and this part of the eye, this underlined line that goes here, I'm not going around this eye like this super symmetrical, but instead I'm opening this shape towards the bottom, so I create this dynamic shape inside instead of this shape over here. So this is boring, it's super symmetrical. But the moment that I tilt this line and I open this line towards this part, I'm making everything feel more dynamic. So that's something that I do, and it's like I'm trying to build dynamic shapes or appealing shapes around the character, not only on the parts of the character, but also on the negative spaces within those parts. Also, now here we have this eye, and the hair. The hair have this main shape, which is a straight line here, another straight here, and then all of these other hairs are within this big shape, which is a C shape, and then I cut that big shape to create those other lines there. But for this one, yeah, I can flat that line too, and continue the C there. And the only thing that I do is break those little shapes like this. Listen, so I'm considering these volumes. And it's working perfectly. We have the teeth here, and we are going all the way. We draw through, so we can be super conscious about the volumes. And now let's talk about shape design. And for the shape design, I try to keep everything super simple. First of all, this is the perspective of my dude, and everything is going down this direction. So the body also follows that direction of that perspective box, and I draw a parallel line towards that. And by doing that parallel line, I'm drawing here a straight curve. So I'll put here something like this. I'm putting like a straight curve here. So this is like an eye. If we are just working with these three type of lines, CSI, this will be my eye. Here, from here to here, this is an S. This is an I. This from here to here could be a C. And from here to here, see, it's an S. So I'm trying to simplify and avoid overcomplicating this design. And this C comes all the way here, and maybe I can break this C from, no, it's a perfect C. It's amazing, all the way to here. If I have a straight here, in order to create a cool contrast, it would be super nice if I have here like a curve. So I'm creating this C shape. And if I'm looking here at my rig and I render this, you see here I have the S, or otherwise I have a straight here and a C here. So with those things in mind, I come here and I do the same. Now this is the direction of this perspective line. So this like here will follow that. It will be placed on top of that line. You can do something like that, so we can have this belly popping out of it. I want to grab the red color again, just to show you how important is this center line for me to put all the parts of the character around the surface or around that volume. So here we come here and we have this center line. Amazing. Now the ears have this shape, which is a straight here, a C here, and another C here. So the only thing that I'm doing is, with that information in mind, that is why it's so important for me when I'm designing characters to be super specific with the lines and the shapes that I'm designing as a consequence of putting those lines together or connecting those lines, is because those lines are the information that I need when animating, just to move those things around. So for example, if I know this is a straight, then I don't have to. Sometimes I don't even have to go back to the model sheet, because I know that the ear is here straight, and then we have a C here and another C here. And that's why I try to keep my designs simple using those three type of lines. And then we have the piercings that could also go like this because of the speed of this dude. Something like this maybe. And again, this is the line of my perspective. So I'm going to grab this line, put a parallel here, and here's where my other ear is going to end. So I'll do something like this. See? Amazing. And now let's look at the arms. And for the arms, I will take this line here and I will reduce the opacity, or just change to another color with a lower opacity, just so I can focus on the arms for a bit. And poop. Amazing. Now for the arms, look that I'm not creating, and this is about the style that I'm working on. It's not like a specific rule, because if you're looking at shows like Rick and Morty and stuff like that, they easily put parallel lines between the arms and the forearms, the upper arms. They put parallel lines and works well because it's the style. But for the cartoony style that I like, and for the inspirations that I'm taking for this show which are specific cartoons that I love, it's like they play with dynamic shapes. They play with dynamic shapes. So instead of making a symmetrical shape here, see how I'm opening this shape here, whoop, and I'm combining a Z with a straight, and then I'm following this C. Maybe this is an S, but the S, instead of being like this, is like this. So it's not like always the S will be like this, but sometimes could be like this, sometimes could be like this, and this time this S is something like this. And for animators, sometimes it's easier to break those lines a bit more, and instead of thinking like this as an S, sometimes they like to think about this like a C here, another C here, and a straight here, or an S here, and dividing the lines by cutting the lines sometimes during the tiling process, that allows to just visualize everything better and track those lines properly in space. But at the end, it's not about tracking lines when we're talking animation, it's about tracking shapes. The lines are just the contours, it's the thing that contains the shapes. And that's something that I learned from a video that I watched from Aaron Blaze. Someone asked him like, how is the, I don't remember the question, but something along the lines of like, how is it you do to track lines or something like that. It's like, oh no, I don't think about lines, I think about shapes. Now, and that immediately click. It's like, yes. So okay, this is let's imagine this is an S, this is an S, and we're having a little tail here, and from here to here I'm just making a C. And from here to here, the hand that appears from here is a C, and then a straight. And then from here to here, a C. But this C, I'm being conscious of these shapes that I'm creating here, and how this goes around like this. See? So I'm looking at those shapes and being aware of those. There you go, that overlapping line. Yep, that is the arm that goes all the way like that. I can color this line again in black, and this is my pose. Now this is the animatic. And from the animatic I did this rough blocking a week ago I think. I did this rough blocking just to test the rig, but eventually when I'm actually animating, I'm thinking in this way, and you can see the huge improvement that appears just by being aware of these things: perspective, design, simplicity, and all of that stuff. And there's always opportunity for refinement. So I also mentioned in another video that I recorded, I do like a rough sketch pass. Then on top of that, I do a super fast blocking. On top of that blocking, I do a tie-down pass to polish shapes. On top of that tie-down pass, I do like a more refining pass of blocking, in which I start moving the deformers of the characters. And on top of that, I do another pass in which I am my own judge, my own director, and then I start polishing, and then I start just putting notes on the things that I can see and fix to improve my pose. And on top of that, I polish, and amazing, we end up with a really nice pose. So here you go. This is the pose design that I did for this dude. And what I'm going to do right now is just take this pose and put it on top of my rig, and then I will start posing my rig. I lower the opacity of this for a bit. I'll get rid of this, and I will put this all around here and focus only on this dude. So let's go. You know what, let me create a new layer here. Let me duplicate this, and I will get rid of all these little things that I don't need, and it's just confusing some things around. So yeah, I only use those 3 type of lines for this style that I'm working on right now, and that keeps my character super simple to track. Awesome, there you go. Let's paint all of this with a blue, and let's lower the opacity of this blue a bit. Now, next thing that I'm going to, let me bring this all the way to the front. Block this layer, and grab this dude and start posing this dude around the live drawing, I was going to say, around the drawing that I did here. Boop. And now that I mentioned live drawing, is like the same thing that I'm doing here in terms of simplifying lines. It's something that I also do when I'm doing live drawings. I remember when I was watching, I think it was like, I don't remember the name of this dude. I think it's Brian something, Brian Knox. Well, he was a teacher from this What's Atelier school, and he had his own website and all of that. And the way he was designing or drawing shadows, he was also using simple lines to design shadows, and he was also using this type of simple lines. And I also remember another course that I did once, Marco Gucci course. He was mentioning when designing shapes, I think it was for composition, and see how everything translates on the same. He mentioned like designing shapes for composition. You have to think like, imagine when you're designing shapes, if the shape that you are designing is a shape that a kid can cut with scissors, then it's a good shape. But if it's a shape that will be super hard to cut with scissors, then this is not a good shape. And that stuck with me, and that's why I'm also trying to look at not only the shapes that the parts of my characters create, but also the negative space around those shapes. And I try to make sure all of those shapes are well designed and simple enough so a kid can also cut those things. And this is transferable information that I've found on different resources from different mentors, and I was able to just use it and apply it here also in animation, because at the end I think it's just design. Boop. There you go, and we have this thing here. Amazing. Now here I noticed something, and is that the arms of this dude. Oh no, where are the arms? Are these the front legs? No, these are the front legs. So I move this towards the front. I can make this a little smaller. There you go. And it's funny because this character, this scene was an inspiration from the anime Hunter x Hunter, and I've been saying this a lot on the other videos when I'm talking about this scene. And I remember a friend of me telling me to watch that show, that anime, and I was like, okay, let's watch. I'm very hard to watch things, like I'm very picky watching stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch that. The first season was super hard to watch for me, super hard. But then as the episodes continues, the show started getting dark, and I was like, okay, maybe it's getting to something interesting. Dude, that anime just evolved into something super crazy. And there's one scene in which like two old men came into this war, into this fight that is happening, and they both came in on top of a dragon. And those two looks like super badass. And I feel like I have the image of the grandpa of Killua, one of the characters, like the grandpa of Killua when he was arriving on this dragon. I think I have the image of him when I was designing this pose, being like super badass on top of the arm of this air fryer. Okay, this goes front. Okay, no, there you go, something like this. And this arm comes and goes like this, connected here. Oopsie. And you know, another reason why I like to draw on top of these poses is because that's also that makes me detach from just moving pieces of a rig around, and it helps me to enjoy like, sometimes it's boring to just move pieces around of a character when doing cutout animation. And when that happens, I start missing doing traditional animation. But this process that I use, in which I combine both drawing and moving pieces, allows me to enjoy the best of both worlds, like Hannah Montana. so yeah, this is This is how I enjoy my process, combining both drawing and moving pieces. And during the animation process, the same. But imagine like the same process that I did right now, but with a lot of drawings for every key and every breakdown that I have. What is happening with this dude? I have to clean these arms a bit more. Awesome. So after struggling with the deformers that I built for this rig, but actually fixing those, now I can continue with this dude, just following what I already designed here on the drawovers. So this will be something like this. Amazing. And okay, let's put everything like we have here. This line comes here, this line comes here. And because on my sketch pass or my rough pass or whatever, how would you like to call this, because I already took the time, all my thought process is in there. So here in this posing pause that I'm doing here, in which I'm just moving the pieces of the rig around, I don't have to think too much. I can just put music, relax, and just see how all the design comes together, because all the thought process put it on the rough pass. And the advantage of putting all that thought process on the rough pass is that you can fix super fast. It's like something you don't like, change line, drawing, because drawing is a way of troubleshooting and fixing stuff really fast than just moving pieces around. That's why it's an advantage to just develop your drawing skills, because it's a tool. It's a tool that allows you to explore and experiment like crazy, not only when posing but also when animating, on storyboarding, then whatever. It's like, I see it like Call of Duty. I see it like Call of Duty. It's like, dude, which ammo, which guns do you have under your belt on this match? And it's like, drawing is like the machine gun. And maybe you have animation, and animation is your sniper. So yeah, that's the thing. And rigging for me is just like having a knife. It's like having a knife, but the machine guns, dude, are the ones that you do drawing skills, dude. Drawing skills. So amazing. There you go. Yep. This is the posing. This is the posing. Oopsie. And I can grab this draw over that I did here, put it next to this character, and just compare, and then seeing like, okay, what are the things that I can fix, and then is when I do my like polish pass, and here is where I put my hat of director and being like, okay, dude, what is happening here? What is happening with this hair? You know, you can find a better silhouette of this hair or something like this, using the negative space of this ear to show here more of the hair around here. And this other hair should also be like this back because of the air, but design a beautiful shape. I'll just leave that as a reference. What else? This line here is tangenting with the eye, so just take this and move a little bit up so it's not tangenting with the eye. Here, this is the space between these and these are too far away. Just grab this line and move it a little bit up. What else? Maybe this line, because we have this center line around here, I feel like this line is crossing or is going through a little bit too much. So end the line around here, because the center line goes like this. Yeah, maybe make this a little bit smaller and just take it out of the way of this line so it reads clearly. Let me see in the render view here. Clean this. What else? Also, this line is a little bit like, make this a Z, so you have a clear statement. And also go back to the rigs and look at how to fix that line there, which is going to do that's something that I'll be doing behind the cameras later. I grab those notes, and then I come here to my character rig and I start moving things around. So maybe I can then move this a little bit more like this. This line comes here closer to the eye, and I just follow the drawer that I did. And sometimes it's like something that I already did here, but I didn't. I forgot to do while posting the rig. So putting those notes is just like an extra reminder to do those things. Then I'm leaving that empty space there. Then here I have to enable the render view so I can come back to this and boop, polish these lines. Trying to polish these lines. Back. Polish. Awesome. There you go. Then here also too a little bit. Awesome. And this something like this. Amazing. Here too. What is happening here? Is this the head? Yeah, it was the head. So I'm trying to avoid tangenting this line with the teeth. Something like this is working. Now these lines I have to polish a bit more. Oop. And it's just massaging these deformers until I get the perfect shapes that I'm looking for. There you go. And this is something that I learned from a master class that I did online with a Disney supervisor. And I remember before doing the master class, first I went prepared to the master class. I was before going to the master class, I went on YouTube and started watching all the podcasts that he appeared. And I remember one of the main things that I learned from him was not necessarily on the master class that I did with him, but with the podcast that I hear that he appeared on YouTube. In one of the podcasts, the interviewer asked a very good question. It was like, if you like a student or an animation aspirator, like which advice could you give to an animator? And he was like, to develop like something along the lines. I will not maybe quote this properly, but it's like to develop this intuition or this sense of being your own judge, being your own director. And he was explaining how important was that for an artist to being able to yourself to be your own director, to be your own judge. But by having the tools, by having the skills and the knowledge necessarily, like build those skills, train to become that director for yourself. And that's something that has stuck with me. And I'm like, wow, every time that I approach the polish pass, I put my hat of a director or of a judge. And then I just start polishing my things. Amazing. So some things that I'm seeing here is these overlapping lines here on the arms, which this is the good opportunity to troubleshoot everything that I'm not able to see right now in terms of the rig. Now I'm losing here this shape that is something like this too. That's a good point to take this break. Maybe I can open this a bit more. Back. There you go. I like this overlapping line. This overlapping line is helping big time there. I have no idea how to show it here without destroying this thing. Maybe, oops, yeah, I can reuse some stuff here like this. So there you go. This is the posing pass, and then oopsie, the hair. there you go. And this is how we improve this pose from the previous one that we got. And now I can just in the future using this pose when will be the time to animate this scene. Good. So yeah, I look forward to starting the animation process of this project, and I'm almost done with the rig. So yeah, oh, look. This dude is almost ready. So yeah, see you next time. Bye. Wait, I forgot something, and is that if you really like this video, so if you found something helpful here, don't forget to subscribe and to send this to any of your friends, and that will help me too to be able to support my projects and keep creating all of these crazy animations that I have on my mind. So yeah, see you next time. Bye and thank you.